Hello, my name is Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. And today I'm talking about how do you define yourself? This was actually a question I got very recently. And it points to actually the fundamental mistake of trying to define yourself. We're always trying to define ourselves. We define ourselves as a man or a woman, an American or some other nationality. We define ourselves as a father. We define ourselves as this, that, and the other thing. We're constantly defining ourselves. And it's become this habit that unless we define ourselves, we just don't feel right. We feel insecure. We just don't know who we are. And it's interesting because this is a built-up habit and a false sense of security. Because when we were born as infants, there was no thought. There wasn't really an ego. There was no definition of who and what you were. There wasn't even an other. As psychologists will say, there's an oceanic feeling and there's no sense of other. And so it is something that we've learned is to define ourselves by our successes, our failures, what we have, what we don't have, our class, our religion, yada, yada, yada. And we've come to find security in these definitions. And so as people start to understand non-duality and enlightenment, they come to realize they have to let go of these definitions that we hold on to. And they start feeling insecure. At least I think that's the origin of such questions, because once, then people come to me and go, well, then how do you define yourself? What are you? And they're looking for something else to grab onto. And and sometimes they'll try to feed me things. Are you nothing? Are you everything? Are you the self? They're just looking for something else to grab onto as an identity. I am this. And that's a mistake. In essence, we are undefinable. I mean, if you look at the word definition, how do you define yourself? To define yourself, the root being D in finis or finire in Latin. Finis, finire, what that's referring to is limits, bounds. And the D part is from, down, basically what's derived from, what's basically being drawn. And so what a definition is you're trying to define, you're trying to draw upon the limits and bounds in order to define something. That's what to define is you're drawing upon its essence or what it is through its boundaries, through its limits. And so you would define a chair based upon its limits, its boundaries. It's a chair because it has these limits and boundaries. It wouldn't be it would not be a TV. It does not have those kind of limits in TV. It doesn't have those limits and boundaries. And so that is essentially what it is to define, is to draw kind of a significance or meaning from its boundaries and limitations. But that which you are is without boundary. There is no circumference. There is no outside. And that which has no limit or boundary can't really be defined. And you could use pointers. I mean, if you're trying to get a certain feeling or insight across to somebody, you could say, hey, you are nothing. You are not a thing. You are nothing. And that would be true, but because you are now conceptualizing, verbalizing it, you are immediately putting in a pitfall, a shortfalling, so to speak, an error. You're putting in an error in what you really are, because somebody can then become attached to the idea of nothingness and then try to cast away all form and go, well, I'm not that. I am that which is not form, which is not true. Because as I've said in prior episodes, in particular the gold as an analogy for Brahman, a gold ring, a gold necklace, a gold knife, a gold fork, all these things have their own form, but none of them could be said to be not gold. Gold is not the form. But the form is of gold. And so gold transcends the form, because you could melt down a knife and turn it into a spoon or anything else. The gold, it is beyond those forms. It's the substance, not the form. But you can't say any of the forms are not gold or not the substance. And in that way, you can't cast out all form and say, I am nothing. I am that which is without form. And so you're trying to say all that is form is not you in some way. And some people try to get away around this by saying all form is illusory and fake, or doesn't exist. Well, that isn't right either. That's trying to dismiss form and try to claim that everything is formless eternally, which isn't true. There is form. Form exists. And form is not other than the substratum, the substance, Brahman, however you want to put it. So in that analogy, you can't say, I am nothing. Nisargadatta Maharaj, I thought he was quite clever, and he said, the mind tells me I'm nothing, and the heart tells me I'm everything. And between these, my life, flows, so to speak. Paraphrasing a little bit, but he was basically throwing out, I am nothing and I am everything, which is just another, which is a good pointer. It can get certain things across. But again, because you are defining, you're verbalizing, you're creating falsities and potential pitfalls for people to become attached to this and go, I am this. Because the concepts are not what things really are. The concept of water is not water. Just like the map is not the territory. The conceptualization of something is not the reality of it. And so, you can't put into words. That's why there's a falsity in even saying, I'm the self. I've met many, many people who have said, well, I'm the self. I'm Brahman, self Brahman being equivalent and not different. And while it is true as a pointer, it's not really what you are, because their conceptualization of the self is not what they really are. Because you could have this conceptualization of self being this transcendent thing untouched by the world, and then that would be a wrong conception of the self. The conception of the self is an error. Any conception of the self is an error, because the self is without boundary, without limit, and so by definition cannot be defined, which is trying to derive something by its boundaries and limits. You simply cannot define that which has no limits. Because there would be no meaning even if you try to say that, I'm saying undefinable as a response to the question, what do you define yourself as? And nothing, everything, pick something. And I responded, undefinable. I picked non-definable as the closest pointer that I was trying to get the idea across. Because no definition would suffice. All definition would be wrong. But if you then turned undefinable into a new concept and said, I am that, well, you would be wrong again. Because you're trying to define by a concept of undefinable. That which is without bounds is truly undefinable, which cannot be defined in any way, even by using the word undefinable. And so you can't define it. Actually, this is why I thought some of the Korean Zen masters were quite clever in some of their pointers, because there was a book I had read where pretty much as they delved into the question of who am I, they would hit this point of don't know. I don't know who I am. I've seen through everything that I've identified with, and I'm not any of that. And so I don't know. And the old Korean Zen masters would usually just say, just abide in don't know. And abiding in that don't know is probably closer, because in that don't know, there is a pure openness. There is no definition. There is just simply being what you are. And so the idea here is to recognize the tendency or the craving for wanting to define yourself. This is looking for something to hold on to as an identity. I am this. In the end, there's nothing to hold on to. There is no identity. All identification is misidentification. There's nothing, at no point can you say, I am that. I mean, even when you say, I am that, as some teachers have said, is true as a pointer. It's a pretty good pointer when you're trying to get something across that can't be said. But then if you come up with a conception of what that is, you've already lost it. Because then you're trying to define through conception what that is, and you've lost it. Fundamentally, who and what you are is undefinable. It cannot be defined. We need to cease trying to define ourselves and give ourselves some kind of identity to hold on to. Asking somebody, well, what am I left with? Who am I really? Is this craving to try to fill the void of not having identity with something. You're looking for something to grab onto. And just let it go. Cease trying to limit yourself. Create boundaries so that way you can define yourself. Because that's what we do, is we create boundaries. Well, I'm a man based on the boundaries of the sex organs and things like that of this body. I'm a man. And so now I'm able to define myself as a man. That's just a characteristic of the body. That's not who and what you are. If the body happens to be born in the USA, you go, I'm an American. And you have this American pride or whatever. You just this body happened to be born in this country. It's not who and what you are. We're constantly looking for the boundaries, and we're trying to limit ourselves. I'm limiting myself as a man. I'm limiting myself as American. You're trying to cut off everything else by using these boundaries, these limitations. It's the trying to define yourself is exactly what the illusory separate me is a definition of self. It's a definition of who what you think you are. That is what the illusory me is. I'm this. And it's flawed. And so, I do thank the person for asking the question, what you define yourself as, because that was the impetus of this video. It was an interesting question. Because I don't think I've been asked how you define yourself. It's just, but I know that there's many different ways people have tried to define themselves in non-duality. I'm nothing, I'm everything, I'm self, I'm Brahman. And they're all good as pointers, but they fall short. As soon as you have a conception of it, a definition, you've lost it. So, if you got any questions, comments, please post below. But until next time, thank you much.